You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
September 28th, 2024. If it's 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, it's time for This Week in Waukesha. I'm your host, Downtown Donnie Brown, coming to you live and local from the office of former Alderman Don Paul Brown here downtown, right around the corner from Theodore Yeomans Park, where we are proud to honor our suffragette heritage here in the Shaw. And for this morning's guest, there will be a small quiz on Theodore Yeomans. More on that later. And I got to tell you, it was, I'm coming in from quite a night last night. No, it wasn't a night of, partying and debauchery. No, I'm a good family man. I was at the North-South homecoming football game last night. And it was like really one of the most bizarre nights. And even tragic nights. And by the way, a football game broke out that was also just equally crazy. But I first want to start out by saying in the third quarter, near the beginning of the quarter, somewhere maybe almost halfway through, a young man for Waukesha South was injured pretty seriously. And he's a young man from our neighborhood that I admire. Great kid. And my prayers, my thoughts go out to him and his family. And we're not going to mention any names here, but it was a really serious kind of night where the ambulance had to come. And thank God to our first responders. And they were very busy last night during that game, I'll tell you that. And so he was, it took a while, really. And again, I don't want to speculate too deeply into it, but it was a serious type of injury on a running play, too. So I think it was kind of bodies coming together, and so and then later on in the fourth quarter, the announcer asked for a doctor in the house to come up by the press box where I was actually originally sitting with my father-in-law, and we'll get to that in a second. But one of the North fans, a grandfather, I believed, had suffered what I heard was a heart attack, but again, thanks to our first responders, but they literally had to clear the entire home side bleachers to allow our first responders to get in there and do their thing, and hopefully that this gentleman was brought was given the best proper. Well, I'm sure he's given the best proper care, but that he's doing fine. Yeah, yep. So, but what was even crazier, and I have a North alumnus here, I believe 3 generations, 15th District Alderman Cory Payne.
Hello.
All right. So, and then he's also joined by 15th District Alder Alicia Halvensleben, who, like myself, didn't go to North or South or West. We're transplants, but Waukesha is our home and our first love now.
11th District.
11th District. Did I say 11th?
No, you said 15th.
Oh, that's right. Cory's the 15th. So I wanted to see if you're paying attention. So, but
we're paying attention.
So the game actually started out North, we were on the North side because my niece is in the North marching band, and my father-in-law.
Best marching band.
Yeah, the dynasty. Yeah, we know that. Well established. Was it 10 state championships or something like that?
I don't know, but they're the best.
Sure. Move the mic closer there, Cory.
Sorry.
You have such a beautiful voice. So, but
that's why I'm staying far away from it.
No, you're great. So anyway, and how can I forget my faithful companion, Mighty Max Martinson's here. Max, how are you?
I was so ready to be introduced at the start of the show, unlike last week.
I know. I failed you, man. Sorry.
It's okay.
But,
it's all good.
It is all good. Max, thank God. And Max actually might have gotten here before I did this morning.
It's the Wisconsin Avenue Shuffle.
Yeah. So anyway, North does just about everything wrong in the first half. South does just about everything right. Running, passing, and they're leading 19-7 at halftime.
Right.
And then after that young man for South gets hurt and the game begins again, there was a huge, a long delay for that. South marches down the field again and gets another touchdown, thanks to two costly penalties back-to-back by North. And one was a unsportsmanlike conduct from the North sideline. So they gifted South 30 yards. South eventually marches further down and gets a touchdown. They're up 25-7 with 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Go ahead, Corey.
Don, are you telling me that there was a 30-yard penalty? There was a 30-yard
There was,
penalty?
as I told you, there was an interference call on a 3rd and long. So North had a chance to get the ball back, stop them. But it was kind of one of these passes. I think the receiver had to come back for it. The North defensive back didn't turn around and collided with him, or might have even grabbed him. It looked to me like an obvious pass interference call.
Okay.
The North sideline or the coaches didn't agree because they thought that because the guy had to come back, it was incidental contact or something. They were very upset, and I believe it might have been a coach. Is someone at the door there? Can we take a look there? I thought I saw someone in the window there. But anyway.
Just a fan.
It was a squirrel.
That was a squirrel. There you go, one of my fans. So anyway, one of my admirers. But so another 15 yards was added on for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Okay, I get it. All right.
And the thing is like my father-in-law and I are joking. It's like, God, if we sit on the opposing team's side every game, then South will win the rest of its games.
Sure.
So right as we decide we're going to get up to leave, because my daughter's on the other side. She came late from volleyball practice. She's tired. She's got a softball tournament in Elkhorn, which I'll be going to after this.
Heck of an athlete.
Thank you. She's got to get back home, get a good night's sleep. So we decide we start walking down there. And as we start walking down, like we get to the track, we're walking around the track, and North gets a good drive on the kickoff from South after the touchdown. And they have a nice drive, and they score a touchdown, like on a 7-yard pass. Connor Curtis, great game that night. Great second half, I should say. And then a flag is down. So, oh, God, I hope North didn't get a penalty here. It was roughing the quarterback.
Well, Connor Curtis is a heck of a ball player.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was a tight end last year while his brother AJ played quarterback. So he's a big kid. Like, he ran in a couple of plays. He looked like Larry Zonka going up the middle. Yeah, he's a moose. But so now that ball gets moved to the 2 with the roughing the quarterback, and they just muscle their way in for 2 points. So now it's a 10-point game. It's still a 2-score game, but a 10-point game and plenty of time. It's yes, the fourth quarter has just started here on that drive.
And I mean, Don, sorry to break you up here a little bit. Everybody knows that the true rivalry is Waukesha North and Waukesha South, right?
Oh yeah,
are we
there's
clear?
No argument there. Yeah. Why is there another school we should be talking about?
Well, yeah, I guess. I call it Mukwonago North.
Mukwonago North. There you go. KM North. Yeah. So we call it the breakaway republic of the village of Waukesha High School. But anyway, so. And Alicia, I know you're glad because you wanted to talk high school sports. I know that was a big thing here, but
absolutely, I was on the debate team.
There you go. So anyway, as we keep walking over to the south side because we want to connect with my daughter, bring her home, everything falls apart for South, and everything goes right for North. And again, then the person had a heart attack there, or there was a medical emergency in the North stands that also maybe took about a half hour or more than that.
Tragic.
Very tragic. And this is North's homecoming, by the way, their 50th anniversary. They had a great pre-show celebration. Our very own Joel Clayfish from Raised in Wisco was there, so it was really cool to see him. Although I don't think he stuck around for the game. I think by the time the game started, he was in the blind somewhere. Yeah.
Sign an autograph.
No, Joel's in the blind, man. He's a hunter. He's an outdoorsman. That's his love. And so I don't think he stuck around for the game. At least I didn't see him. I saw your brother Kim Walters there and his lovely wife Leanne. So
Yep. He's ugly.
He said you weren't going to make it this morning because you got to have words with him. So, anywho,
that's what brothers are for, right?
By the time the night was over, North beats South 42-25, a 35 unanswered points in the fourth quarter.
Don, I was talking to
Waukesha. I know we were texting each other, and I was just like, because especially when you saw that penalty from the North sideline, Seattle's got a good crew; those guys are disciplined And so I thought that maybe it really was a meltdown, and these guys they weren't going to keep up. So, but congrats to North.
Well,
congrats to South on a great first half, and I said there was really some great execution, and but again, first and foremost, our hearts and our prayers go out to that young man from South, and to that North fan.
Yeah, that's tragic. You don't want that. When people are just hanging out.
Yeah.
And
it's a celebration, 50th anniversary homecoming.
Yeah. I mean, and everybody knows north of the river, south of the river. Everybody knows that, man. If you're from Waukesha, everybody in the world knows that.
North of the river, south of the river. I love it.
That's what it is.
I dig it.
I guess it's technically Like I once made a joke.
Yeah.
Only in Waukesha would north be west, south be east,
I know.
and west be south.
You could argue that we're a north. I think we're north of the river in Banting Park,
Yeah.
but we're a South family and we're in the South School
Yeah,
District.
right.
But
Only in
anywho.
Waukesha.
Yeah. So
Are you okay over here on the south side of the river then?
yeah. Oh yeah. He's
I'm
downtown Cory Payne.
Are you kidding me? I'm a block away from Taco John's.
So he's
You
happy.
sure are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can walk there anytime.
I love it.
Sounds good.
Oh, Tato
So,
Olays.
As much as we'd love to talk high school football and rivalries, we also have some other business at a higher level. Cory wanted to call this meeting here at the office of former Alderman Don Paul Brown to talk about the CIP and the some of the budget implications. Is that fair, Cory? And we got about 2 minutes. Is that right, Maxie? So why just give us a quick kind of an intro, a little feeder,
Well,
when we go into the second on the other
Sure.
side of the
Yeah, we can do just a.
in your mind. Yeah.
All I would like to do is discuss where the future of the city is. We're talking 70,000+ people, and I think that it's important in these struggling economic times to really bring that to the forefront.
Okay, very good. Alicia, how about you?
Yeah, I think that we did a great job with the CIP this year. I think that we are in some really unique economic circumstances, and so the city itself has had to get creative, and the CIP is one way that we can do that.
Terrific. And tell us what the CIP stands for again.
Capital Improvement Projects, I believe.
That's it, or plan, I think. Yeah, something like that. Yep.
Well,
So go ahead, Cory.
common council president would know that it means
It's
Yeah.
Community Investment Program.
Community Investment Program. That's
Completely
right.
off.
I should have known that too because I had to look it up as well, and I was on the council.
I just always think
So-
of it as like it's the capital project.
It's the plan, yeah. Or I just thought of it as the strategic
I've
plan.
always been told it's capital improvement, but whatever.
Capital,
That's what I thought it was. But
Sounds
it says
good.
community on the book. So
Capital. We are a capital community. If you will,
Whatever
as a county
makes
seat.
it sound better.
There you go. So we're going to talk more about this CIP as well as acting locally, thinking globally, and then so much more here in this first hour of This Week in Waukesha and some other city news and a little bit of Waukesha history and so much more on this beautiful Saturday morning, September 28th on This Week in Waukesha on WAUK 540 AM and the Civic Media app. All right, guys, ready?
Share it out, yeah. Help who you can. I know that you can. Talk about it, oh, give it up. Share it out, help who you can. Don't just talk about it, Don't be shy.
Is covered with dew, and while the world is waiting for the sun rising, my heart is calling you.
We do not have to wait for the sun to rise. Actually, it's starting a little later now as we go deeper into the season, but we don't have to wait for Waukesha's favorite sun to grace us with one of my favorites. The world is waiting for the sunrise with wife Mary Ford. And this is usually the time I talk about acting locally, thinking globally, but that's essentially the intention of our show. We have two local alders, two good friends, and one I had the privilege to serve with during my stint on the council. Before that, unspeakable outrage, but took place. But anyway, to quote from John Irving. But
What do you mean by that?
the gerrymandering. I mean the redistricting. Who's Jerry?
Wait, so are you trying to tell me that?
Oh, it's all in the past, Cory. Let's talk about the future in the CIP. That was good, wasn't it? I handled that well.
I'm glad your transition was.
Yeah. So let's talk about because I know that you obviously when you called me, you were very concerned about some of the aspects.
Extremely concerned.
And some of the
Don,
budget.
extremely.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. The floor is yours, Alder Cory Payne.
Well, I defer to someone that voted for it.
Okay. Oh, the positives, you mean? All right. Alder Halvensleben?
yeah, sure.
No pressure here.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Just pulling up some notes that I made because I wanted to make sure that
Oh.
I covered.
Hey, while Alicia's
everything.
doing that,
Talking-
our
talking
Carol
points.
Minute will be
Talking
brought to
points.
us by another North alum, Greg Triple G Wansnyder, who'll be calling in the second hour to give us the Carol Minute. So looking forward to that, Triple G. Go ahead, Alicia.
Yes.
Alder Halvensleben.
So one of the things that I think is really important to remember about the CIP is that in a lot of ways, it helps to offset costs within the operating budget. So a really great example from inside the book are, specific improvements to buildings. Those tend to be a bit more expensive, but they are offset then by lower costs in the operating budget. As you well know, and as Cory knows, the operating budget situation is extremely dire, right?
Yeah.
We know that we have levy limits. We know that the shared revenue is not helping us whatsoever. We got a little bit of a bump. Great. We're very thankful for that, but it's not going to be enough long term. So this is where we can use the CIP to get creative and do these types of improvements out of the CIP. We're currently borrowing at kind of historically low interest rates. And so I know that Cory may be disagreeing with me, but this is actually the truth. The credit rating of the city is extremely good. And we've been able to make, real progress on that front. Additionally, believe it or not, this is actually one of the smaller CIP budgets in the last 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
So I think that it's really important to kind of recognize that.
Yeah.
One of the things I also noticed within this one is that there's a lot of stuff that we've talked about in the past and said, okay, maybe this isn't the year, and those things get pushed out, right? 3-4 years, and we're like, no, you know what? This has to get done eventually. We get these, so much information. The CIP is 323 pages. It's a lot to read. I spend my whole weekend reading it, right, to make sure that I understand what's going on. And so there's a lot of information, and city staff does such a great job putting together the reasons why we need this project or that project. And so when you read through it and you see, okay, yep, this does make sense. And that's not to say that we just go with whatever they say. If you look at the finance committee meetings where they talk about these things, they remove stuff. We don't just always agree with what city staff says. There's a lot that goes on before it even gets to the common council. So that's why I make sure to either attend or watch any of the budget committee meeting or the finance committee meetings where they're talking about the budget.
Do you do that in your capacity as the president of the council, but also as the alder from the 11th district? Or both?
I've always done it. Yeah, since I was elected, I make sure that the budget is probably the most important thing that we do all year round, right?
Sure.
That is the backbone of everything. So CIP and the actual operating budget, incredibly important.
Okay.
So yeah, I've done it since my time on the council.
Yeah, and that's why I'm glad you're both here, is because I don't think enough people pay attention to that, to both. We don't have enough people participating in our politics. I mean, how many calls do you get from a constituent on average on a weekly basis? One?
Go ahead.
I usually get 2, maybe 3.
Okay.
Most of it, the calls that I usually get are not following ordinances.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are the majority of it.
Yeah.
If there's
Yeah.
or a public works
But here's the
issue in their
Don,
street.
yep, correct. But the thing is
Rats. We'll talk about that later.
I made a referral 3 years ago already on that thing, and I don't think it's gone anywhere. But anyway, most of the time, it's usually about ordinances. People leaving mattresses out. And
Bring the mic closer to you, man. You have such a beautiful voice. There you go. There you go.
All right,
Excellent.
there we go. No, so usually it's and then you deal with the after effect.
Yeah.
Of why my taxes are going up. Why are the police department driving around in Ford F-150s to patrol the city? And people that vote for that.
When they should be driving Chevys. Sorry, I'm from a Chevy family.
Absolutely, they should be driving Chevy.
And Ford violates the McBride principles in Northern Ireland. So I'm sorry, Cory, go ahead.
But either way, we don't need patrol vehicles to be Ford F-150s at the highest grade at $100,000 a piece. That's stuff that's not okay. Okay, go and knock on the door, like my friend Joe Piper always says. The front porch test. Okay.
Love that.
Yeah.
Smoking Joe Piper from the 4th.
Yeah, there you go. So go and talk.
We drove through Joe's district on the way to the North game, and I described, because Joe gave me a tour of it once when I was on the council.
Yeah.
And I didn't, not many people know this. There is a kind of a trailer park community there on Moreland and Summit. It's been
half
there for
of it's my district.
years. Yeah, that's right. Oh, now you share. Yeah. So I'm sorry, Corey. Continue. How are we doing on time? 2 minutes, Maxie. Go ahead, Corey.
What I mean, so we can just probably continue this a little bit further.
Oh, we got time. Yeah. I just want
okay.
you kind of keep.
Well, no, what it is it's about being a little bit more. We got to start. You run for politics. You run for office to make differences, not just to take a rubber stamp and go, yeah. Okay, and in my opinion, I think that it's extremely difficult to work with the Common Council of today because 90% of them aren't even from Waukesha for the last 6-7 years. And it's becoming difficult when people don't understand the community and they probably don't even know their neighbors. They just walk down the street once or twice and then they think that everybody,
Talk more into the mic there, Corey.
Oh, I apologize.
Well, we'll do a little practice here on the break.
I'm always told that I'm so loud.
I know. It's great on the radio. Yeah. No. Yeah, we're not a council meeting, so yeah.
The cane is turned way down. It's not like the mics in the council room.
So, So we're going to continue this discussion with the right honorable gentleman from the 15th District, the Fighting North Star, Cory Payne, who's wearing his North
Sure
hat.
am. Go North Stars.
And then the right honorable gentle lady from the 15th District, also known as Madam President, also known as Alicia Halvensleben, as we continue this discussion on the CIP, now I'm adding a new letter, the budget and its implications for the future of our fair city, and so much more, including some Waukesha history here on This Week in Waukesha.
The world is waiting for the sunrise. Every little rosebud is covered with dew. And my heart is calling for you. The thrush on high, his sleepy mate is calling, and my heart is calling you.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Wake me up when September ends. You guys can sing with me.
I don't sing in public.
Oh, we're not in public. We're on radio. We're in the office of former Alderman Don Paul Brown here on This Week in Waukesha on WAUK 540 AM and the Civic Media app. If you haven't downloaded it already, please do so, because then you can take great shows like This Week in Waukesha and all the terrific Civic Media programming that's statewide anywhere you go. And I was in the car with my father-in-law last night. We were listening to some great oldies. There's a local station in Milwaukee he listens to, and I said, Rick, if you're ever sans radio, but you got internet, go to your Civic Media app and open it up. And there's a WRJN out of Racine. Went back to the original format, which is music and news, and the music is oldies. And if you like oldies like I do, it's a great listen. It's fantastic. But you can also call into the show, and I know my guests would love to hear from you. They are Alders, by clicking on the phone icon on the Civic Media app. And that's how Greg Triple G Snyder will be calling in the second hour to give us the Carroll Minute. And a lot to unpack there, as Carroll has their home opener today against the mighty, what are they called? The Mighty Thunder of Wheaton College, always the
They've been playing
top 15
great.
team. What's that?
Carroll's athletic program has been starting to.
They're killing it.
Yep.
They're great. Oh, yeah. And the women's sports, too. They're having a great year. I know their volleyball team is off to their best start historically.
Yeah.
So a lot to look forward to. And so we'll be talking about that
it's
when
great because it
when
provides
your fellow North alumnus calls in. So, but go ahead.
No, it's just.
It's good for the community.
It's great for the community. That's
Yeah.
what
It's
I
very
was-
uplifting when I'm walking around by my house and I
Yeah.
can hear all
'cause
the
you're nearby.
cheers.
Yeah.
coming
From the Schneid.
Yeah.
Schneider
yeah.
Stadium. Yeah. So, but I'll tell you this, and not many people know this: the Carroll women's basketball team had an amazing year. They won their conference. They beat some really good teams. I was at a game when they beat number 9 Milliken at the time. That was in overtime. That was amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
But not many people know this, but Carroll hosted a March Madness regional an opener at their field house, which has become like the what's that?
Van Male, right?
Van Male, yes, thank you. But we call it Van Female when Coach Schultz's Pios are out there because they are awesome.
Yeah.
Olivia
Great.
Rangel, I believe, is
Yep.
All-American.
Yep.
She's really fun to watch and a great human being. We had her on the show with the coach earlier in the year.
No,
And-
Carroll University is doing a great job athletic.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job.
Unfortunately, they lost that opener, but that is the madness of March Madness. But a great, it's a lot of exciting things going on in the Carroll program, and it's great when you can't. Like I have friends. I went to Michigan State. I have friends going to the game. Bo Richter from Waukesha South and his wife are going to go because Tracy's nephew is the deep does the deep snap on punts for Michigan State. It's like $200 a ticket for the Ohio because Ohio State's there, so the price went up. And it's just like a lot of these, even collegiate now, and of course NFL. It's like you need a second mortgage just to buy tickets, and it's crazy.
Well, that's why it's family fun, right? It's family fun. It's affordable. It's close to home.
And these kids are there. They're not on scholarship.
Nope.
Unless it's
They're
academic.
they're working.
They're there for the love of the
Yep,
game.
You ain't lying, brother.
And they are, yeah. And so, it's a big, it is a great experience, and it's great for the young kids, too.
And Don, you know what I like about that is I really do enjoy it when I'm walking around the city and I'm actually seeing Carroll University apparel.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing it more and more than I've ever seen it before
All
in
the
my
time,
life.
yeah.
But as a fellow Irish, Corey, isn't it?
Oh,
It's
boy.
hard to admit. Isn't it hard to be wearing that orange around? Like, because I used to broadcast the football
Don't.
there, and
I
that
don't
was
wear-
rough for me, man.
I
You wear the
don't-
blue.
What?
You wear the blue, not the
Yeah.
orange.
But that, the original colors, though, I guess, were like orange and gray, and then the blue came on later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, the beautiful thing about the whole thing is it's not beautiful to be honest with you, but if we're going to
the
talk,
lovely thing, the wonderful thing.
the Chicago Bears used to come up and practice right there, right?
That's right, yeah. And they even, I think they had to get the rights from Carroll to use that, because that original C
was
logo
from Carroll
I think it was
because
from Carroll,
is
Yep.
much older.
But here's what, and as we know, the first forward pass in college football was here at Carroll. Carroll didn't throw that, but because they had such a tough defense,
No, it was my dad.
probably, Eric was playing for Washington University or St. Louis University. It was one of those schools out of St. Louis. So, but speaking of history, and this is very timely given the great job, the wonderful job our first responders did last night in light of the two tragedies that took place at the game. And if you're a South fan, well, they didn't have to help with that tragedy. But this week, we remember firefighter Albert Mevis, who tragically lost his life while serving our community on the evening of September 21st, 1891, while responding to reports of a fire at the Fountain Spring House.
Yeah.
Firefighter
Okay, yep.
Mevis was on a wagon with the hose carts dragging behind it. The lead rope had wound around the axle of the wagon, causing the tongue to sway. The rope became caught in the crossweld, overturning the cart, which struck Mevis. He succumbed to his injuries on the evening of September 22nd. At just 26 years old, firefighter Mevis had dedicated 7 years to protecting the city of Waukesha and was a highly respected member of the fire department. To honor him and all of our public safety heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice, we encourage you to visit the Public Safety Memorial located outside of City Hall. And to me, what's most impressive about that memorial is there are very few firefighters and very few police that lost their lives in their duty, in their service to our city.
Sure.
Which means, I think historically, it tells you we've been paying attention to our safety protocols and also on, especially from a law and and even fire. I mean, they're both dangerous positions. That they're doing a lot of the right things.
Yep.
To avoid calamity, as well as other people being hurt
Well,
and saving lives.
I mean, if I'm correct, right? That's the one at Springs Park, right?
The Spring House?
Yeah.
You'd know better than me when it comes to
Yeah,
we got to have John Shane
yeah.
connect on to talk about
Yeah.
the Springs. Yeah.
He was my art teacher.
That's right, at Butler
Mr.
Middle School.
Sigmund,
Yeah.
he knows
Oh,
what he's doing. Yeah.
No offense to everybody else, and we've had an amazing list of guests this year. I highly encourage you to check out my podcast page. You can catch all of those. But
You're doing a great job.
thanks so much, Corey. That means a lot. John Shane Connect may very well be one of my top 2 or 3. Like, it was just such a great
I learned a lot
show.
from that.
Oh,
man.
God, yeah.
I learned so much from him.
When he was on in March, and I kind of challenged him about any Irish history, and he's like, God, I can't promise you that. I can't. But he showed up and he blew me away that there was an a tough Irish community earlier in the 20th century.
I could tell you
it was
where
on the top of a bluff. Where was it?
It was right up on the north side of the river.
So instead of North Stars,
Yep.
which I got to say is very vanilla name. Just it should have been the Fighting Irish, and he could have been green and gold.
Yep. When you go right up Madison Street, just across the bridge and all that, that's where all the Irish grew up, right there.
That's neat.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a
And it
little
was
driving
almost-
tour.
But the thing is it was almost, and I hope I get corrected, Mr. Shankanek, thank you for everything you did.
Yeah.
I still have some of my pieces that you helped me make. But it was almost like you were casted when you were, the Irish back in the day.
Yeah. They were. Yeah. And that's what people forget in this modern conversation, that everyone thinks, oh, we're all white, but it's like, well, no, we're not. We're in fact, if you looked at on my post this morning, there's a quote on a cardboard box, like the kind that maybe you'd see like a homeless person putting up, but it was, and I'll read this. It was from the great Irish rebel James Connolly.
Was Connolly? That's German, isn't it?
No, he's Irish. Connolly? Yeah, that's very German. Yeah, sure. Oh, here it is. And this was from 1908. And it said, let no Irishman throw a stone at the foreigner. He may hit his own clansman.
True.
James
Very
Connolly, 1908.
Yeah, a lot of people,
So-
we could get into it. That's...
We were, yeah. Even Sean Riley would tell you, our mayor, that his dad, the reason he lost in his bid for city attorney was because of his Irish Catholic heritage, that there was still a great deal of prejudice and distrust.
and then that even goes all the way back to, John Kennedy, right? A lot of people didn't want to vote for him because he thought
his
that...
religion was a
Yep,
big issue,
Yep.
And he,
He would be beholden to the Pope.
Yep.
Yep. So,
Yep. And it's just funny because we're not even talking that loud or that long ago. You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking, 70 years ago?
60 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna say he died 60 years ago.
63, right?
It'll be
Correct?
63, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say
it'll be
it'll be
62
61.
years, yeah, or 61 years.
It'll
in
be 61 years
this November. Yep.
November. Mhm.
Yep.
November 22nd.
So,
Yeah, and
But-
his sister,
what's that?
after the lobotomy was just
Right here, St. Coletta's, yeah. Rosemary,
yeah,
yep.
yeah.
Yep. So,
So
that's right.
yeah, I follow my Irish heritage a little bit here or there.
Oh, good. So we'll have to do a dedicated show on that, Corey, closer to March.
Go
So-
Irish.
There you go.
Oh, well, I'm on at the right time because I'm German and it's Oktoberfest season.
There you go. And we are a Germanic tribe, as they say, the Irish.
Anglo-Saxons.
I mean, you ever listen to the Gaelic language being spoken? It's very throatal. It's very Germanic, It's like good morning is Giahuit. Or no, that's hello. Good morning is Majinwa. But it's a really throatal kind of craziness. But anywho, back to the city of Waukesha and the CIP.
Right.
And I'm glad that we did take a moment to celebrate our Irish heritage here in the Shaw. And there's so many other great groups that make this, or actually backgrounds that make this a very
absolutely.
wonderful city. And more than a melting pot, a mosaic. So, but let's talk CIP. What are some of the specific aspects of it that are more troubling to you, Corey, than, say, Alicia?
I was waiting for you to ask the question.
All right.
Okay. So the city of Waukesha has overspent its limits. Okay. With a $30 million city hall, which I voted against, when I proposed that we should look into combining the police department, because I knew that the police department at the time was already in need of an extension. And you already have park and recreations right there. And so I figured that it would be a smart call to kind of liquidate and make everything, it would be a little bit more easier to manage as far as, maintenance staffs and so on and so forth. Both got voted down. Thankfully, I was able to get the police station and fire department passed. And with the foundation of the Parks Department over on St. Paul and 164/59, because I believed even then when I was proposing bigger pictures.
Okay.
And so meanwhile,
Back at the ranch.
So I can go so many different directions. Meanwhile, the Common Council of the City of Waukesha has essentially bankrupted the City of Waukesha. Okay? And the Common Council of the City of Waukesha has allowed more and more and more and more and more spending. This is the fact. You can look at it. And to my friends and colleagues' point, we just now approved almost a $40 million CIP. That CIP budget number would then fall, arguably, and keep in mind, interest rates are different, than 3% what we were borrowing at 5 years ago versus they're not 3%. They're much larger than that. Okay. And we now I don't even want to say we, they. And I don't have to look at my phone to reference anything. That's what's funny is my companion over here is just constantly getting text messages back and forth. But
now are you using the notes thing that I use?
I'm actually looking at the CIP itself.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
So, I have it pulled up.
Well, okay. Well, anyway,
verified
facts. Verified facts is look at the Common Council and look at what our finance director gave us. It was $40,000. Our $40 million was the largest CIP that we had, and I believe that was in 2001 or 2021. The second highest was 37 and a half, and the year prior. We just now, after a financial report from the city administrator, who said that we are going to be in a $5 million hole within 3 years.
Sorry, Cory, we're going to put a pin in this week. We're going to go to a quick break, but we want to allow you to finish this point on the other side of some very important messaging. But please tune in. This is a very important conversation about our CIP and our city and our future here. And This Week in Waukesha, WAK 540 AM. And don't forget the Civic Media app.
The innocent can never last. Wake me up when September ends. I wanna touch the silver lining, pull me shining everywhere. I wanna live forever, I don't care.
You're listening to This Week in Waukesha, and the song you're listening to is Silver Linings by Guard. Most of you football fans, especially Big Ten football fans, would recognize this song and the commercials they play during the games, where they give you an animated map of the Big Ten. And now that's been amended to include 4 new teams out there in the West: Oregon, Washington, UCLA, USC, and then it goes all the way across to Rutgers, the birthplace of college football. And I think it's cool. I know a lot of people aren't crazy about it; they're upset about it. But I global domination. But the Badgers play at the fabled Coliseum against the fabled Trojans of USC, who lost their first Big Ten game.
Yeah.
At the Big House in Michigan, in a really good game. I thought Michigan was going to choke like they always do against USC in the Rose Bowl. But
Welcome to the Midwest.
Well, that's it. All these teams come into the Big Ten thinking they're going to dominate. Like Penn State, I used to hear, growing up out east, I'd hear always, Penn State's just going to walk all over the Big Ten. But it probably took them like 5 or 6 years to finally win the conference. Maybe
100%.
more than, And so...
Yeah, I don't think that.
But I think it's great.
I know football was. It's a more East Coast thing, right? Philadelphia, New York. I get it. Okay, here I'm going 100 years back, right?
Yeah. Finish.
Now we got it.
Yeah.
The Midwest, and we'll punch you in the mouth.
Yeah. Oh, Big Ten's always been.
You see some of those boys out of Michigan and Minnesota.
When I went to college, when I went to college at Michigan State. Because to me, I was a Penn State fan primarily because of John Cappelletti. And And those major independents included like Notre Dame, Miami, West Virginia. I mean, these were all great teams to watch. Syracuse.
I thought
yeah.
Notre Dame was
But-
going to join the Big Ten. I was this close.
You know why they
What,
won't?
94,
No, when Notre
95?
Dame wanted the Big Ten to join the Big Ten, the Big Ten didn't want a Catholic school in their conference. There was still a lot of anti-Catholic, and Notre Dame never forgot that. For the same reason they put Navy on their schedule. Like you know what Irish amnesia is, right? Corey? You forget everything but the grudge. So I don't know if unless there was a public apology from the Big Ten for that historic shame.
No, you're right.
I don't think Notre Dame's going to do it.
Still one of the greatest rivalries of all time.
Notre Dame is playing. Hey, I'm bummed that Notre Dame took Michigan and Michigan State off their schedule.
Yeah.
And I guess they're going to do a home and home with Michigan State starting next year.
Good.
So that'll be great because that was always a great game.
Marquette, Notre Dame basketball, man.
And
Oh,
Marquette
my
used to have a great
goodness.
football program back in the 20s.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but
I'm with
Frank
you.
Leahy was their coach. So,
Aren't
but
we in the 20s right now?
what?
Is that
I'm in the
are we
1920s. Yeah. I thought the Roaring 20s. You know
I'm paying
the
attention.
Prohibition era and the
I am
flappers.
I'm
And
struggling that with my son, trying to teach him the difference between the 2024s and the 1924s.
yeah. Hey, we got Mary Jane on hold. Mary Jane, Janie from the block. What's on your mind?
Oh, good morning. It's actually Karen. I'm calling to find out why the city has F-150s on the road. Just kidding.
What's going on?
Anyways, good morning. And I'm really excited about today's program and hearing about the CIP. And as, past involvement with the city of Waukesha, that's near and dear to my heart, especially, building the community and also where we're going. So I'm glad to hear from both Cory and Alicia. Sorry for the first names here. I respect both of you and what you're bringing to the conversation today. My 2 cents is, yes, let's see where we can cut. Let's see if we can pay down some of the interest on what we owe, and then to, of course, keep the maintenance of everything that we have. But I did want to kind of express a little bit of things going on in the community that I've been working on. I'm working with Sweet Dreams to help them with some of their marketing, and he had asked me where he could get ham and rolls. So I hooked him up with the Badger ham.
Nice.
And now then I said, why don't you meet with Bo over at Mia's? And now Mia's is making their rolls.
Very nice.
So I just wanted to give a fine example
Connectivity.
of how the community is working together.
I love it. I appreciate that. Thank you. No, I appreciate
and
that.
then
So
also, and then one other thing, we've got Sam, the Buzzy Bee guy. He's working also to learn how to mix drinks because he just purchased and now this is Muskego, the vintage grounds out there. So he's learning through Bo as well. So just tying this community together is really important, all the way around to just really work together and be one big community. So again, thanks
sounds great.
everybody.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mary Jane. And I think that's a good.
And go Black Shirts.
Oh yeah, Cory. So that's a good point. Now, Cory.
No.
Cory, finish your point before we went to the break though about the CIP. You were like we had to cut you off there. So
Sure.
Go ahead and finish that point, please.
Okay.
And thank you.
Well, this is where we need to pick up. I understand we're on the radio, right? And so we have limited time, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to clarify a few things. Okay, Don?
Sure. Yeah.
So we were given a bleak, dismal outlook by our new city administrator, who I think
Tony
does
Brown.
a good job. Tony Brown. Great. I really do think he does a good job. I mean that. And it's nice to have fresh,
Yeah.
fresh
Sure.
insight. And he flat out said to the Common Council, which takes a lot of courage,
Yeah.
we're broke. The city of Waukesha's broke.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Sure.
Okay. I don't
Okay.
need to paint limp.
2 minutes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going.
And why in the world would we approve a pay increase for everybody and then vote for the highest CIP in 7 years when the city, it literally has been broke? I am encouraging the people of this city, and not this place, just everywhere,
Uh-huh.
just start looking into it. Your representatives are not looking out for you.
Okay.
They're not. Don?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure. You got it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yep.
If you owed $5 million, would you go and spend $10 million?
If I owed $5 million, I don't know if I'd have $10 million to spend.
But you borrow it, right?
Okay.
You
Yeah,
borrow it,
yeah.
yeah, right, on the taxpayers'
Yeah.
dollars.
Cool.
It's a joke,
Yep.
and
Hey-
the representatives of the city of Waukesha should be ashamed of themselves
Okay.
because they continue to spend the money of the taxpayers that no longer have any
All
money.
right. Cool.
That's where it's at.
Cool. Thanks, Cory. So in our second hour, which starts soon, we're going to give Alder Halvensleben a chance to respond, as well as they're going to tell us where one can access the CIP on the city website. That would be extremely helpful. And so much more. We'll get our first farmers market report from David. And because it is a great day to be at the farmers market. This is the harvest time. And so much more. And we're taking your calls on the Civic Media app. Thanks for doing that, Janie. And don't forget, Triple G will be giving us the Carol Minute here on This Week in Waukesha on WAUK, 540 AM.
Well, I'm coming face to face with my conscience.
September 28th, 2024. If it's 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, it's still time for This Week in Waukesha, Hour 2. And it's always at this point before we return to our guest, Alders Cory Payne, I almost called you Corey Feldman, and Alicia Halvensleben. We've got David calling in from our booth at the Waukesha Farmers Market. David, how are you?
I'm doing fine today, Don.
What's going on there, my friend?
Oh, we got nice chilly temperatures today for everybody. Finally, the fall it seems to be here. The leaves are definitely on the ground.
Yeah, nice. What's the recipe across the way from you there? The recipe of the week, the downtown.
The recipe of the week, we got some apple and honey caramel popcorn. Now, I did not know this, but you
Sick.
apparently can make caramel directly from honey. It's
Nice.
like I really got to try this. It sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, here at the farmers market, we got all the ingredients you need. We got the honey, we got apples, we've got popcorn even if you want to buy some.
Nice. And what are we giving away there at the booth?
Oh, the food. It's
No. What are we giving away there? What are the prizes? What are we spinning the wheel for today?
The prizes today. Let me take a look at these. We got all the usual favorites. We got everything from Lover's Lane Sushi, Sinoble, Sal's Pizza, and
Sal's famous.
Bunker. I can't say that name right.
No worries. Sounds good. Well, it sounds like you have your hands full there. What's that? Hello?
Oh yeah, no, everything's. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. We got our hands a little bit full here right now.
No worries.
The
Hey,
winds are
David.
definitely blowing and
Yeah, I'll let you go, and you'll call in the second half of the hour, and we'll get an update. That sound good? Sounds like a really busy day over there.
Yep.
All right. Hey,
Oh,
thanks for all that you do, David. There at the Waukesha Farmers Market, representing WAUK, my man, David. So now returning to this very full plate of the CIP. Where do we leave that off? Oh, we're going to give Alder Alicia Halvensleben a chance to respond to Cory's remarks.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess just to kind of start off, I also want to.
Oh, real quick too, and thank you for reminding me, Mary Jane. Where can we find the CIP budget on the city website?
So it's going to be. I can actually walk you through the process.
Thank
on
you.
The website here.
Talking to the mic, Alicia. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. Just pulling up the city website here. So if you go to the city website, which is waukesha-wi.gov, there's going to be, and it depends on if you're on a computer or phone, but there's going to be the three little lines to
Sure.
get the drop down
The
menu.
three little bears.
Yeah. And so you just, you're going to go under government, and then under departments, under finance, and you're going to get all kinds of information. There's going to be a sub menu, and that's where you're going to see city budget. That would be the first thing. So you'll be
Okay.
able to pull everything up right there. And it's got multiple documents that goes back to 2018, which is very helpful. So, and you can just download it. But be warned, it's these are long, right? So I think I said earlier it's 323 pages.
I
Wow.
don't want to interrupt you at all, but what about
Talking to the mic, Cory.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you at all, but there's also a presentation that was given by the finance director of the city of Waukesha.
Okay.
I think that there's videos of the agenda,
Okay.
and I would encourage anybody to look at that.
Thank you. That's key.
Yeah, you can see that also on the city website. If you go also under government, you go to Common Council, there's a link that says agendas, minutes, and you just pull up last week's or 2 weeks ago meeting.
Fair enough. Good deal. All right. So now returning to, we want to give you a chance to respond to what Cory was, his concerns about the CIP.
Sure. And I want to start by saying,
And just to recap, too, for those just joining us, Cory has contended that we are financially, the city's, for lack of a better term, broke, or it's tight, and that he's concerned that we're continuing to spend too much, including increases in staff compensation and maybe some other projects to kind of just wrap that up real quick, so go ahead, Alicia.
Sure. Yeah. So I want to start by agreeing with my colleague and
The
friend
right
here.
honorable gentleman from the 15th district.
Right. I think that our new-ish city administrator is doing an amazing job.
Tony Brown
Tony Brown is doing an amazing job. I also talked to him about the financial circumstances of the city. We had several meetings, went through multiple presentations, did like very in-depth kind of breakdowns of, what is this going to mean in 1 year? What's this going to mean in 3 years? What is this going to mean in 5 years? And I think that aspect is really helpful. So not thinking just about 1 year and one moment, but thinking long-term.
Okay.
And I think it's really important to, when I'm thinking about the presentation and the information that Tony Brown provided, one of the things, because I'm asking, I'm like, how do we fix the situation with the operating budget, right? Because we don't want to have to raise taxes, but even so, we can only do it by so much, right? There are levy limits, and in terms of other sources of funding, like shared revenue, it's not enough to get the job done. So it's not so much that we're broke. Our hands are tied in our ability to get more funding. And that's unfortunate. So if you're concerned about that, by the way, you should be calling your assembly rep and your state senate rep, because those are the people that can make a difference on that. So, just look that up. If you go to myvote.wi.gov, it'll give you a list of all of your representatives, so you know who to call.
Yeah. And primarily in Waukesha, it's Scott Allen from the 82nd, who I know is running in November. And then it's also in that little corner there, it's Adam Nealon. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, cool. Yeah, give him a shout.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that sense, right, we have a really tight situation with the operating budget.
Sure.
One of the solutions that Tony was proposing when I talked to him was that we maybe do some additional investing so that we can alleviate some of the things from the operating budget. So things like maintenance, right? Maintenance costs are high, especially right now, especially when it's unexpected.
Yeah.
Materials are expensive. So if we can do a full overhaul of something, right? Whether that's fixing the HVAC situation at the library or getting better windows so that, we're not having so much energy cost loss. It's things like that are going to, they feel really expensive, but when we think about it, 5 years down the line, how much money are we saving in the operating budget?
Sure.
And a lot of that gets offset. And these are things that eventually will need to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's why we spread it out. If you look at the CIP, what's interesting is, we're spending, the $40 million this year, but we also have projects slotted out so that we know, all right, we're not going to do everything. If you look at the proposed versus the adopted, it's not the same. So it's not a rubber stamp. If you go to the finance meetings when they're discussing this, there's a lot of discussion and there's a lot of, okay, do we really need this? Yes, we do. Do we really need that? Maybe we don't. Maybe we can push that out one more year. And I think that's what's really important. So when we're thinking about, folks paying attention and
Yeah.
making sure that they, people who want to get involved, who want to know more. It's not just watching the Common Council meeting. It's not just going to the Common Council meeting. There are all these committees, and
Yeah.
finance is incredibly important.
Yes.
I don't have the privilege of serving on that committee, but
I was on it once.
any of the alders can
Yeah.
attend those meetings.
Sure.
And even if
Any
you're not
public
available.
citizens can attend
Yep,
these meetings.
absolutely.
And they allow for public comment just like the council meetings do.
Correct. Yep.
Okay,
Absolutely. And all of those meetings are also available on video on the website. So if you're not available,
Sure.
because you have to work or
Yeah.
whatever, you can still watch them after.
Here's one thing I wanted to ask about with the CIP, and I gave a public comment on it once, is that one of the things I voted on was when there was a crisis over the pumping station. Originally, we had Minnecupook Park was chosen. City of New Berlin initially greenlighted it, and then they changed their mind, and a big lawsuit ensued. But there was a settlement that included $1 million. The City of New Berlin paid the City of Waukesha $1 million. And we identified another spot where the pumping station is now in the Nike missile base. And that was federal land that was donated to the city. And so the rule is if you're going to use that federal land, you have to swap adjacent land to have a park. And so we did that. We bought the Rempe farm, which is like $1 million price tag. So it was a wash. And I thought that was great. But we haven't done anything with this 42-acre park yet. And I've traveled a lot in the last couple of years for softball tournaments, and I see other municipalities our size, maybe bigger, maybe smaller, with parks that are comparable to ours, some better, some inferior, most inferior. We got a great park system, but they are cashing in on these softball tournaments and other baseball, but girls softball in particular, women's softball. People come in, they're buying hotel rooms, they're eating at restaurants, and they're paying parks fees. And there's just a great opportunity to generate revenue. And I got to tell you, Milwaukee's a great place in the summer, Milwaukee area, Waukesha, that this should be a draw. Why aren't we doing this? And I know, again, with the budget being what it is, we have our hand side, but could also public-private partnerships be explored where you have some funding partners that are helping pay for the construction, for the naming and the marketing benefits, all of those things. Has there been a discussion yet on this 42-acre park space? And is it in the CIP?
Not to my knowledge. That's not to say that those conversations aren't happening, with city staff, but no.
Okay. Cory, do you know anything?
Yeah, I do. Well, we have, as a city, I say we,
Yeah.
because I have been engaged in this for quite a while.
Sure.
I think that it all goes back to a mismanagement, which the Common Council did approve of the Big Top baseball program at Frame Park, and
Yep.
then we had that approved there.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the financing fell through. We end up going and then searching other methods, and then it was going to go to, I believe, Mendiola,
Okay.
right? And
I remember that. Yep.
Yep.
And
1 minute here, but we'll.
yeah,
Go ahead.
but regardless, I do believe that we have recognized as a city that there is a lack of quality athletic department and facilities.
I agree.
One thing that I have really tried to do is we just got the tennis courts at Lowell Park redone. We just approved another one at Prairie, I think it was.
Okay.
But
Right.
regardless of the fact is
Sure.
the city, when it comes to economics, and
Mhm.
it's just sad because
Sure.
I just noticed what they did out in Oconomowoc with that
Okay.
ballpark.
We're
and
going to
it's-
continue this conversation with Cory Alicia on the other side here, and Triple G is going to call it the Carol Minute here on This Week in Waukesha, WUK, 540 AM, and the Civic Media app.
About it. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. And I see that there's 1,000 faces all shining bright. And I'm scoring them faces on the 25. They want to say they're gonna tell ya about the young idea. And man, listen now, you said you better.
In the city of Waukesha, there's 1,000 things I want to say to you. And we are here talking about the Young Idea on This Week in Waukesha, one of my favorite songs from The Jam. We've had it on before. And I got a great jam going on right now at the Carroll Minute. We have a fellow North alumnus, because, of course, we have Cory Payne here. Greg, Triple G Wansnyder. Greg, how are you?
I'm well, Don. How are you?
Good, good. What's going on there at our state's oldest university?
Well, I've got some really exciting things to say for you. First of all, we do have a football game today, as you mentioned in the first hour, against the 19th ranked Wheaton Thunder.
The mighty Thunder of Wheaton, down there in the noise.
Yeah, definitely down there. So we want to welcome everybody to our Schneider Stadium, as you refer to it, Don, as
the Schneid. That's Coach Buddha's nickname for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Pack the Schneid, he always says, yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. At 1 p.m., and we actually have a free food and tailgate party before that time.
Nice.
Catered by our own Chartwell's Dining Services. That happens to be, I work for Chartwell's as the breakfast greeter. So Chairperson Halvensleben and Alderman Payne, I hope that you'll come for some free food. And that free food, by the way,
you got a thumbs up from Cory.
Campus's main lawn. And then we'll be transferring to Schneider Stadium for what hopes to be a really good game. Carroll is 1-1 right now. They had a tough loss against Washington University.
WashU, yep, at the old Olympic Field there in St. Louis, yeah. Beautiful campus.
Yeah. You mentioned, Don, too, our women's volleyball team, and so I wanted to say a little bit about them.
Yeah.
We want to say congratulations, give credit where credit is due to the team, coached by Emma Myrtler.
Okay.
And their Maggie Magoo just had her 1,000th dig. Now,
nice.
I want to ask, can you dig it? You know?
Yeah. Yes, I love it. Yeah. I can dig it.
Done it 1,000 times. So, and she is just a sophomore. So, she's got a long time to go here.
Nice.
So, sophomore Maggie Magoo, and I believe I've had breakfast with Maggie a couple of times.
Nice.
So, as you know, Don, there's not a breakfast that I forget often, or maybe that I don't forget to eat breakfast or lunch or dinner. Or,
my man.
Snacks often. And then just really quick on a really positive note. So Carroll's behavioral health psychology graduate students have partnered with Carroll and are reaching out to students, to undergraduate students who may be dealing with a whole host of issues, anxiety, homesickness, all sorts of things. Now, these issues in the past have been dealt with by deans and things like that, but Carroll has a new program that's giving these behavioral health students, these graduate school level students, the opportunity to meet with students who need it on a free basis, one-on-one, just to talk things over. And so it's a great community partnership. And
nice.
As you guys know, with Carroll, we try to make our partnerships great community partnerships, including partnering with the great city of Waukesha. And we always want to make that Carroll Connect, as I know I'm in the ear of two Alder people. We always are wanting to make the Carroll Connect. How can we connect Carroll students to the city of Waukesha?
I love it.
And how can we make the city accessible, to Carroll students, to make this a place that they'll want to live someday. So that would be my my plea to you as Alder people to, definitely get definitely, I listen and I hear a lot of the things that young people are concerned about.
Let's leverage the
and,
talent, the strengths of both.
Well, I always appreciate the
Yeah,
Carroll
yeah.
Community Breakfasts, by the
There
way.
you go. Yeah.
They're very helpful in understanding what's going on at the school and how
Yeah.
that might connect to the community. And with so many community leaders there, I think that's really helpful. So
That's
I hope
so
those
great.
continue.
Greg, thanks so much for sharing all this great information and, of course, for all that you do for our city. And I'm looking forward to meeting up for coffee next Friday. Greg Wansnyder, thanks again. And a Waukesha North graduate, as I know Alderman Cory Payne can appreciate. And one thing Greg left out, and nothing on Greg, because this just came out yesterday, Carroll University women's golf team won the Rockford Invitational, beating Rockford University, who finished second, and local Alverno College finished third. So congrats to them and all the great things going on there at our university and here in our university city. So proud to support. And so how many are we doing in time here, Max? About 3 minutes, 2 minutes?
Go
Go Pios, yeah. So, Cory, I think you were talking before the break, and it was about the CIP. Do you remember?
I do.
I don't. Go ahead. Just we'll give you a minute here to kind of
just
finish
brief,
that point.
In brief, this is exactly what I believe, and I
Yep.
believe that many Americans and people in the city of Waukesha believe this, is that when you're told 3 weeks prior that your financial situation is dismal,
Yeah.
you don't go and approve a CIP that is second and potentially first highest in 7 years. That's just financial misconduct. And that's where I'm here, and I appreciate you having me.
Okay.
And thank you very much. I love this city. I was born and raised here. I've done a lot
Sure.
to try to make this city better.
And how many
that's
terms
where
have you
I'm
served now?
at. 4.
4. Okay.
Yep.
So since what year would that? What was your first year?
Well, I've served one. I've served 1/4 of my life as an alderman in the city of Waukesha.
Sounds great. Terrific. And Alicia Halvensleben in her first term, where she was elected council president. So she's another mover and a shaker here.
Yes, which I appreciate the support from my other alders for that. That's it's
terrific.
definitely been an adventure, which I appreciate.
Yeah, and really quick before we return to this, you have less than probably about a minute. What is the role of council president?
So primarily, it's if Mayor Riley is out, right? If he's on vacation or has another
Sick.
meeting, sick,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
I kind of step in for him. So if he's
You're
out
like
of
the
town,
mayor pro tempore, if you will, at the council
Kind of,
meetings.
yeah.
You preside over the council.
exactly.
Okay.
Whenever he leaves town, I have to hope that nothing goes wrong.
Okay. Sounds great. Terrific. And when we come back, we're going to have the second portion of our farmers market report and also learn a little bit more about the committee work that Cory and Alicia are doing, as well as other specifics of the CIP that all of us should be a deeper dive. And as I understand it, too, is CIP is based on a lot of feedback from the community. So we need more of us to participate in this process moving forward. So here and so much more on this beautiful Saturday morning, September 28th. You're listening to This Week in Waukesha on WAUK 540 AM and the Civic Media app.
But you better listen, man, because the kids know where it's at. Every city there's 1,000 men in uniforms. And I thought they now have
Too much pressure and I'm nervous. That's when the taxi man turned on the radio and a Jay-Z song was on. And the Jay-Z song was on. And the Jay-Z song was on. So I put my hands up to play my song. The butterflies fly away.
You are listening to This Week in Waukesha, and that is Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. And I play that when it's softball day. My daughter's got a tournament in Elkhorn, so I'll be flying down there. And that's one song that both teams, if it's on the air, like both teams would get up and dance. And it's like right out of like High School Music or something. It's actually pretty
our
cool.
own Corey
Yeah.
Hartman would go up and dance with them too.
Corey
so-
Hartman, that's right. Yep.
I danced to this song a lot when I was in Germany in
Oh,
college.
they do? Oh, that's right. You were telling me about that during
It was-
Oktoberfest, right?
Yeah, well, I was there in the spring, but the
Sure.
song came out right around the time that I left, and so it was very, very popular, and it was played
Sure.
constantly in the clubs when I was out.
Speaking of popular, we have David back on the line from the farmers market. What's going on, David?
Hey, Don.
Hey, what's going on, friend?
Oh, we just got. I'm just enjoying this gigantic apple. It's absolutely delicious. It is like
It's the time for
size of my
apples.
head. I cannot believe it. But yeah, no, and I'm just eyeing up the little pastry shop that has those Jane's favorite scones apiece.
Yes.
Gotta-
Oh, the
gotta
maple
get me some of
bacon
those
scone.
Mm-hmm.
The future
Oh, yeah, the
tagline
maple
of the
bacon
Waukesha Farmers Market.
Oh,
Nothing
yeah.
says farmers market like maple bacon scone. I have to agree with Jane there. So terrific. Yeah.
And,
Any other
it's-
picks to click there today?
Oh, I'd say I think we're noticing a bit of an uptick of all the charitable organizations for the area. We got the Kiwanis Club out here this week. We
Nice.
got the Franciscan Peacemakers.
Love it.
They're all working to spread the word. the
Best
word
soap
of
ever.
helping
Love St.
a fellow
Francis.
man.
I named my daughter
Oh,
after
yeah.
his first follower, Chiara Afroduccio, or as we know in English, St. Clair of Assisi. Good stuff.
Oh, nice.
Well, good. So yeah, it's you get some great deals there. So bring some cash, but also just a couple dollars will help any of those great causes. So I really appreciate you sharing that, David. And hey, I'm gonna let you get back to it. Enjoy it. It's beautiful. Morning sun is really popping now, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I wish I
Getting a
could
lot
be
of
there
good
with you
winners here
today. So terrific. All right. Hey, David, all the best. And thanks for all you do for WAUK at the Waukesha Farmers Market. So, yes, get over there if you have a chance. This is the time when the farmers market shines. Cory, Alicia, and I were talking during a break about our love for baseball and baseball history, and that baseball history is American history. And we referred to that quote from the recently departed James Earl Jones in Field of Dreams about baseball is America, and it makes us young again, and there's an innocence to it, and it's kind of like that with our farmers markets too. It's a chance to go back to our agrarian heritage and taste produce that's made sustainably. Doesn't have to be organic as long as it's sustainable.
Is there anything better than corn on the cob, butter, salt, fresh, the good?
You're right.
I mean,
That
there's
sweet
nothing
corn
better.
that comes
No,
out
there's
like this
nothing
time.
better.
Yeah, nothing better.
I tell you.
I mean, my dad
All
used
those
to
things.
load up his pickup truck with stuff from
Oh,
work.
yeah.
Yeah.
So-
My dad works for an agricultural
Sure.
co-op.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean we
Yeah.
always had like the best corn.
So you got to
growing up.
tell your dad we have the farm the farm report here 5:30 in the morning.
He's probably awake.
So yeah, he's
I'm
got to
not.
check it out. I mean, you can't be a local radio station if you don't have a farm report, and we got it. Because I used to refer to
I listen to it all the time.
I used to refer to the farmers market as a crop report. Excuse me,
Yep.
yeah, crop report. It's fantastic.
Yep.
So, but we have to give Alder Halvensleben a chance to give a final statement. She's got to run and take care of some other duties of her work. Go ahead, Alicia.
Sure.
Parting comments on the CIP and the budget.
Yeah. So I think overall we did a pretty great job. I think there was one concern, and I think it was a really valid concern about Monaca Park and the playground there, because there's another playground really close by. That isn't to say that I don't think that the playground eventually needs to be refurbished, but in terms of just thinking about what we want to do,
Yeah.
maybe now is not the right time for that.
Sure.
And so what I appreciate is that we had this discussion, and actually Tony Brown is going to maybe take another look at that and see if we want to amend the CIP.
Yeah. And I want to put a final comment on that too, because it's not so much, it is a revenue generator for a lot of cities, and it's a great way to leverage the parks. But it's also, with me, my big complaint is that youth sports has burgeoned into this $19 billion industry. And you're paying college tuition to get your kids into sports. Like, Cory, you'd remember $25 would get you into Little League, and there's still money left over for a couple tickets after the game for a freeze pop and a soda or a chips, and
Hot
$25
dogs and
won't even
nachos.
$25 won't even buy your socks. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yep. I know the
And
business. I know the
It's
business.
the new Jim Crow. I could count on one or two hands the number of children of color that played with or against my two kids when they were playing select sports in youth. The two kids that did, and that's tragic. And I want to see our parks coming up with that kind of programming where kids can play on teams and they can compete. And then also having this facility too that I'm basing it on Ireland's Gaelic Athletic Association model, which is actually like the wealthiest nonprofit association in the world. And it's every one of these clubs at the local level have the sporting facilities, but they also have the indoor facilities that have a hospitality component. So we could be hosting weddings, birthday parties, celebrations of life, all of those things.
So you had talked about, where's the funding going to come from for stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to give a shout out. First of all, I want to thank all of the city staff who worked on the CIP and put this all together for us. There's a lot of information in there that they have to bring all together for us. So first of all, shout out to that. But I also want to give a shout out to city staff who approach people for private, public-private partnerships, so that we can get sponsorships for different things, right?
Yeah.
So we just had Oktoberfest last weekend. A lot of private companies, investing and sponsoring that.
Waukesha State Bank had a big presence at the North homecoming game because they recognized the 50-year anniversary of the importance to the community.
Absolutely.
They've always done a great job.
Yep. And Ty Taylor was there. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
And, so like a lot of these programs that we talk about, things that people really love about Waukesha, a lot of it does take that public-private partnership and these sponsorships from different companies in the area. And it's always nice to see all of the local companies reinvesting in the community.
yes.
So I guess my ask would be to anybody who makes those decisions for some of these private companies is if you're interested, we have a lot of opportunities. There's so many ways that you can get involved and help us. So
we
that
should get involved. It's your future. It's your children's future.
Absolutely.
And
it's
a great
going to
city
help
with a great history.
alleviate some of that pressure that we're
Yeah.
feeling. So absolutely, please reach out to us.
Takes a
We'd be
village
happy. Yeah.
to make a city.
So that's
To raise
that's
a
my
child.
last 2 cents. I
Thanks so
suppose.
much. Hey, Alicia, before you go, can you tell us who Theodore Yeomans was?
She was a suffragette, right? And she was like one of the first
The
ones.
president of the Wisconsin
Yeah.
suffragettes movement.
Yeah.
And one of the big reasons why Wisconsin was the first state to ratify the 19th Amendment.
And they still have a lot of really great stuff at the Historical Society.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is about her.
Yeah.
And they did this whole big thing right a few years
You know,
ago.
and what we don't remember, what you don't see in is women spilled a lot of blood to
Yes.
get that right to vote.
Literally fought and
And so
died for
that's
it.
why it's important to get out there and vote and exercise your right, male or female. And then for a lot of like different immigrant communities like my own, same thing. We spilled a lot of blood to get certain levels of equality that we enjoy here. And so same thing is we got to get out there and exercise our right to vote. So
Absolutely.
Alder Alicia Halvensleben, the Right Honorable Gentlelady from the 11th District and Council President, thanks so much for joining us this morning and enjoy this beautiful Saturday. Give my best to Kevin, if I can say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all the best to you. We look forward to reconnecting soon.
Thank you,
So-
Don. Thank you, Cory.
You got it.
Great conversation today.
Absolutely.
Again, I'm joined by the mighty Max Martinson on the board, who mentioned his dad, Corey Hartman, and his love of music, his love of singing Miley Cyrus. So
Just that song specifically.
we'll have to get Corey. I'll have to get him on the show to do a little sing of that. So now I would be remiss if I didn't. Here in the office of former Alderman Don Paul Brown, we are, as always, rejoined by our resident counsel legal expert, James Santel, retired U.S. attorney. And his show, Amicus, a law review, or as I affectionately call Atticus, is on at 9, goes 9 to 11, and some really great discussions on the developing law here in our country and how it affects us. So stick around for Jim Santel when we're done here. Hey, I also want to do a shout out. You're still here, Corey. Don't go away.
Okay.
I also want to give a shout out to Pete Schwab, whose show Nightlife is on every night from 8 to 10. And Pete had Charo on our show like a couple nights, and I missed it. I was really bummed. For those of us old enough to remember, she was like one of the big stars of the 70s, and I guess she was giving a concert. Yeah, Corey remembers. Yeah. So how cool would that have been? Some great history there. But yeah, Pete has great guests, a lot of Wisconsin pop culture, and so I highly encourage you to check out his show. I'm hoping to get another interview with him as some exciting things are going on with my show here in the coming weeks. So, but definitely check out Pete Schwab. I believe he's on all the civic media stations, 8 to 10, Monday through Friday. So, returning with Cory Payne, before we get back into the CIP, Cory, one of my followers asked a question about, you'd mentioned earlier in the show about that there's, I don't know if it's the council members or staff, that they don't live in Waukesha. Is that correct? What do you mean by that?
Actually, that's not what
Okay.
So, point of clarification.
Thanks.
Okay, is no, people that I believe in order to have a true belief in the heartbeat of the city, you need to be here a little longer than a couple of years until you can represent your district.
So there's some carpetbaggers here is what you're saying.
And most of them are from Illinois. No, I'm just
Illinois. Yeah. Illinois. Like Joe Piper
so
from the Fourth?
Yeah, no.
Only kidding, Joe. if you're
No,
listening.
only kidding, Joe.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I mean. And I have the rare ability, thank the Lord, that I represent a district where I literally grew up in, played in houses, played in yards, went to every school you can think of that's all represented in my district.
Yeah.
And I care, and I love my district. And nobody can take that from me, and I love Waukesha. And that's what it is, Don. That's what it is.
Sure.
And I'm seeing people that are coming into the city and they're voting and not in the best interest of what the real taxpayers that built this city want. And that's facts. There's been Mexicans in this city for 150 years. There's been black people in this city for 150 years. Okay, I don't care anything about that. Democrat, Republican. The city is overstretched the bounds, and it's time to bring it back. And that's where I'm at. That's what
you're advocating for more fiscal responsibility or stewardship is basically what you're.
Like I told you, when you get a financial report that says that you're broke, you don't go and spend more money.
Yeah,
and that's what's happened. And I would challenge anybody to debate me at any single time. And they won't win. They won't win.
So
and it's a fact.
So, Cory, let me ask, though, for those listening, what can they do about it?
Number one thing is exactly what I did many years ago. Take interest in your society.
Okay.
Take interest in your community.
Thank you.
Become the best you can be and pick up the garbage on the street when you see it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? When you see somebody doing something wrong, call.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Take ownership in your community.
Call your alders?
Call your alders.
Now, what about there are some alders that just historically don't return calls or they're very inaccessible? What's your way around that? Public comment, maybe? Come to city council and give a public comment?
Well, there's only on there one way.
Call
that
them out.
and the vote, right?
And the vote, yes. We need more people running for office.
Well, and then that's one thing I'm glad that you brought up, Don, is most of the people on the common council have been either ran unopposed, and it's not because of their popularity, because nobody's even taking interest in them.
Oh, yeah. No, there's, Yep. No doubt.
And you know that. We've had these conversations.
I ran, yep. I mean, in a city of 70,000 people where the districts have like an average of like
it's sad.
2,000 registered voters, you'll have like less than 1,000.
It's sad.
And that's charitable. It's actually less than that.
100%.
Yeah.
It's sad.
So, yep.
And you can't complain in April that your government is failing you when you don't act in November.
We are a government of the people at the local level, state level.
From the ground up.
Yeah.
From the ground up. And that's, I mean, I could go deep into it, but I am a true believer, 155%.
Sure.
You start, this government is from the ground up, not from the up down. And I'll fight for that until the day I die.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, Cory. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Cory's relationships with other legislators at high, especially those that represent his districts, and what he'd like to see for the CIP and for the future of the city. And so much more on this beautiful Saturday morning, September 28th, 2024, in the beautiful Shaw. You're listening to This Week in Waukesha on WAUK, 540 a.m. And don't forget the Civic Media app. And thanks again to James Santel for these beautiful eclairs.
Something stops me every time. The DJ plays my song and I feel alright. So I put my hands up to play my song. The butterflies fly away. Now in my head like yeah. In my head it's like yeah. Put my hands up to play my song. You know I'm gonna be okay. Yeah. It's a party in the USA. It's a party in the USA.
Out here in the fields, I fight for my meals. I get my back into my living.
You're listening to This Week in Waukesha, and that's one of my favorites from one of the great albums of all time, Who's Next, The Who, and Bob O'Reilly, or some people more popularly known as Teenage Wasteland, but the really cool people know it by its real name. And that is an ode to my best childhood friend who has had a really successful career in facilities operations at Harvard University, responsible for many of the great renovations, as well as ground-up building projects, museums, performing arts centers. And happy birthday to you, Min. And that was one of our favorite songs from our youth, Teenage Wasteland. Bob O'Reilly.
It's a great song.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because rock and roll, like guitar here in the land of Les Paul, is such a big part of it. But that song, it's that synthesizer that's driving it. And yeah, Cory just did the swinging Pete Townsend on the guitar. But yep. So I had to hear that.
So where are you at? I mean, you got obviously Beatles, right?
You love Beatles, yeah.
You got
Huge
the Stones.
Fan. Zeppelin is up there too in my top 2 or 3.
Oh yeah,
love Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah.
Stones, of course. Yeah, I came to appreciate the Stones. Now, growing up in Buffalo, which is a rock and roll city.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people in the late 70s felt betrayed by the Stones because that Some Girls album had some big disco influences, and everyone thought the Stones had sold out. And they moved to Chicago, a great blues town.
Yep.
And I really got to.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, with Muddy Waters and everything. Oh yeah.
Well, the Stones, Mick Jagger, and they would go to Blues Fest as fans.
Oh yeah.
And they'd get into those South Side
they were down
bars
there a lot.
where the real Blues Fest was after the fest, the late nights, and they would let Mick Jagger in there.
Yep.
And those guys were paying homage to their heroes, their messiahs, if you will, or prophets.
But
so Stones were very heavily influenced by blues.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look,
Charlie Watts, the drummer, was a strict R&B man.
But George Harrison,
Harrison's another great one. Yeah.
I mean, they would always.
Did you ever see that? The guy from Lord of the Rings, Peter, whatever his name is, Peter Jackson, did this whole thing on the Beatles.
Well, he did the whole thing,
on Apple on the Disney Channel,
but he used brand new technology that was never used before.
Contrary to popular belief, it was George that left the band first. He left the band for a couple days, and one of the reasons why, and Paul McCartney described this, was that
he wasn't allowed
out there in the world. Yeah, out there in the world, people genuflected to him, like the Byrds, Lee Von Helm, and the band.
Yep.
Like they thought he was like. But then when he came back to Apple Records, he was like the little brother, and
he was the first Beatle to have a number one record.
Yeah, as a solo artist.
As a solo artist.
Oh, yeah.
George Harrison is honestly one of my most favorite artists of all time.
Me too. Yeah. Yep. I got to play him in a movie. The Beatles again. It was a guy was working on a project for his master's at the University of Buffalo School of Film, and I got to be George. That to me was a trip. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Nope.
Because all we did was just just play.
But everybody, I'm so glad. I mean, get off the politics and stuff like that for a minute. But it's incredible because I know I've known you for years, and that makes me feel really happy in my heart because a lot of people don't know that. Right away they want to blame Paul, they want to blame John
and Yoko. Yep. So
George said, "I'm out of here."
Yeah, and then eventually, like you had 4,
and he had a great career.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of them had great solo careers. Paul, and it's too bad John's life was taken. So for a couple of reasons. One is that things had been really turning around for him in his personal life, his relationship with his wife.
He was getting clean. He was getting sober. He was doing
him and Paul were actually reunited, and there was talk about a future Beatles project, and unfortunately that didn't. And I was like in 8th grade when that happened, and that really was a
that would have changed
tragedy.
The world.
It really would have had a real amazing impact. But and those guys were in their 20s and 30s when they did all that. Like the impact they had in those
imagine
10 years.
That being 17, 18, 19 years old and having the world at your hand.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
But they struggled. There were a lot of years they were playing those clubs out in Hamburg, Germany, and like they definitely they were Liverpool boys. They are Irish heritage too. People forget Liverpool is the capital of Ireland.
Well,
but Liverpool was kind of like the dregs of the UK. It was like that was the. But those guys fought.
You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
No, but just bring it back full circle real quick. Is everybody always has that right? That debate. Is it the Stones? Is it the Beatles? Blah blah blah.
They're all great. Yeah,
they're all
and they're friends.
Great.
Media kind of made that into this bitter rivalry, but. The Beatles lent them songs to help get them. Like,
you're 100% right. They wrote almost half of it. They almost read. I think it was the Stones' second album. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but half of the music on the second album was written by John and Paul.
It could have been it, yeah. And that Let It Bleed album was an ode to the Beatles. The Stones did, but there's a great,
beautiful music
when they did All You Need Is Love.
Yep.
And they kind of in the days before video, they made a video, and it had included like Marianne Faithfull and all these, and Mick Jagger was in there too, like singing along.
Yeah. No, it's just beautiful, great music, and I'm glad that we were blessed with it.
Yeah,
I'm because without that music, we never would have.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine that.
So Cory, unfortunately, we have 2 minutes left, and I didn't get to Neil Diamond, so you got to come back in the show, so we'll play it for you. But what is it you want people to know about the CIP and about the future that we haven't talked about already? What can they do?
We need to hold our elected officials fiscally responsible. There's many ways that we can do that. And I hope that everybody is paying attention right now. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone gets big. Everyone gets little. But we have to come together and believe in each other.
Come together. Sorry.
There you go. And we need to come together. And we need to realize that the government doesn't work without us. Okay?
Yeah.
My friends, my people of all generations, of all ages, races, I don't care. We need to come together. This is ridiculous. We're losing our democracy. We're losing everything right now. And thank you very much for everything. This morning has been a great morning. God bless you.
15th District Alderman Cory Payne, 11th District Alder and Council President Alicia Halvensleben, thanks so much for joining me in this morning and in this very lively discussion, important discussion. Please contact your alders, express your concerns, look up the CIP. And thanks again for joining us. Don't forget James Santel is on next with Atticus. Terry Theme, Council's County Supervisor, will be my guest next week to talk about some tax issues at the county level. And please remember on this beautiful Saturday, safety is everyone's responsibility. Good mental health is everyone's responsibility. Gora Mila Mahagav Galer. And see ya!
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.